Thank you for joining me and watching this brief talk on education at Mason Prep for the 2021 school year and beyond. Over the years, Mason Prep has done a great job of giving students a solid foundation both academically and socially. The school has been known to produce students who are confident, high achievers, kind, and community-driven. We embrace those qualities, and we will continue to build on the great legacy that we have been given. To do this important task, we need to understand education in the past and strive to build and innovate for the future. Today, I will share a brief history of education in the 20th century and how we are addressing moving forward. Before the 20th century, education was simple and often taught in a one-room schoolhouse. In the early 20th century, education shifted to an industrial model to meet the needs of a new workforce. The factory model of education was designed for the Industrial Revolution. Although we have experienced massive innovations and demands, our education model did not change much over the last 100 years. The approach was characterized by facilities that incorporate cells and bells, with students moving from task to task. There was an assembly line approach to learning. Schools standardized expectations. We developed fragmented curriculum, which produced subjects in isolation. Classes became teacher-centered, with the teacher having the only voice. We have now entered a new phase. The World Economic Forum calls it the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Advancements occur at the light of speed. The evidence of dramatic change has never been more never-ending. If we continue to educate students for jobs and skills that no longer exist, we are not taking responsibility for preparing them for the future. A study was done by the Hanover Group and several other research organizations that have identified what people need and how they need to achieve going forward. Let's focus on one area: problem solving. Facts are easy to find, but how we use that knowledge to solve real-world problems is a skill that students will need on a daily basis. They'll need global awareness. They'll need critical thinking. They'll need creativity and imagination. And they'll need the skills that they have now to be able to continue on in the future. Local and national independent schools use this list when they create their desirable qualities for students. In my own research on motivation and human performance, I found that effort outweighs most other qualities in predicting success. Angela Duckworth is best known for her work on grit. She says, grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future day in and day out, not just for a week, not just for a month, but for years, and working really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. Mason Prep students have a solid foundation, and they do that by building skills. They also do that by understanding higher level competencies. Memorizing and internalizing are essential, but memorizing for a test and not retaining the information is useless. It is important to know the facts, but more important, to know how to apply and create using those facts. How will we accomplish this? How does it work? We start with student-driven learning. It starts with where a student is at and moves on while building skills. It looks at real-world challenges, where they retain not only what they know, but also what they experience. Authentic assessments include tests, quizzes, exams, demonstrations, teaching, others, projects, self-assessments, and design. It also includes caring communities. Relationships are at the heart of it. Empathy, and how we look outside of ourselves and how we take care of each other are important skills to learn. Everything that we do will be research-based. Curriculum needs to be based on the brain and developmental progress. Students need to be asked questions, develop questions, and know how to get their own answers. Our mission statement says that we are dedicated to being a learner-centered school. That means meeting students where they are and adjusting to maximize student learning. There are no standardized people. We are driven by our own passions, talents. We are driven by our own brain and how it works. The beauty is that no two brains operate exactly the same. Mesa Prep has been and will continue to be a learner-centered environment. Here are 10 characteristics of a learner-centered education. One of the characteristics I'd like to point out is productive struggle. When we learn best, it's when we answer questions that are not always clear to us. We listen, we analyze, we struggle, we fail, and then we succeed. Think of riding a bike. Very few people get on a bike the first time and ride. Most of the time we wobble or fall down. Learning happens when you get back up, get your balance, and pedal. You know how to ride a bike, and as they say, you always will. The same with learning new concepts. We struggle, we fail, we make corrections, we learn, and then we don't forget. Mason Prep is and will remain focused on excellence. It will remain a school where children are loved and known. It will be a school that embraces forward thinking and while being respectful for the strong foundation that we've been given. In the coming year, we will remain at the forefront as a school that believes its teachers make a difference. In doing this, we need to focus on professional development. Here's a sample of the classes that teachers will be taking this summer. Mindset Math by Joe Bowler from Stanford University. Orton Gillingham Reading Training. Cognitive Connections and Executive Function. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion on Ongoing Training. The Neuroscience of Learning through Harvard University. Social and Emotional Learning on Ongoing Training. We will continue the tradition of producing strong ethical leaders in our community. We will go forward with empathy and equipping students to make a difference in our community. Our school will be actively engaged in strategic planning starting in the near future. As a community, we will come together to develop a vision for Mason Prep and that will guide us into the future. We'll end this presentation from a quote from Michael Eisner. There's no good idea that cannot be improved on. We will continue to dedicate our efforts to continue to improve every day. Let's take what works and make it better. Thank you for watching this presentation, and I hope you can join us on Thursday at 8:30 a.m. See you then.